Okay, so we're here in my backyard, and there may be a few kind of distracting sounds of birds, and there's a little waterfall that's happening beside me to my right. But I just thought it would be nice because it is summer when I'm filming this. So let's just begin. I'm standing to the front of your mat. Take your feet parallel with each other, but have the heels slightly apart. So you have maybe the big toes touching, and then you spread your toes. Now lift all the toes, put just the big toes down, and then spread through the remaining toes and then let them come down. Just as an exercise of extra width for the feet. So just feel that for a few moments. Bring the hands to the heart. Now notice a slight shifting of the weight. Maybe the weight goes a little bit from side to side, or kind of asymmetrically side to side, like it might go a bit forward on one side and a bit back on the other. So just notice where your body kind of radiates around the center. And every time we do those little micro movements, there is extra learning of balance that happens. So when we watch it, a deep understanding happens. So just stay with that for a few moments without rectifying any kind of sense of center, just feeling the surround. All right, let's move through a couple sun salutations. Let's do this together. Lower your arms as you expand in the back body and just feel yourself leaning back. I am more in my heels and we're slowly going back here as far as we can without falling over. And then as we have the arms coming up a little bit, lift the side ribs and bring the armpits a little forward and up, but relax the arms. And stay here. I'm feeling a little shift to the front of my toes now. And we start to feel the inner ankles coming forward and the thighs coming forward. And a little bit of the pubic bone coming forward and up. Lifting the rib cage one more time and just making some micro movements as you're maybe in a little bit of a back bend, but it's not in the low back. And you have some freedom of movement through the body and you can still breathe. And then inhale and exhale to fold forward. So bend the knees or do what you need to do. I'm going to just come forward and let my knees bend and I'm going to hang. So my shoulders are hanging and I'm letting my whole rib cage kind of fall and drop more towards the ground. Breathing in the belly, breathing in the chest. Letting the muscles and the skin of the face relax, letting gravity have this opposite effect. Okay, so I'm going to come to a halfway lift and I'm preparing myself to do a jump back, but you can jump back or you can step your feet back for raised plank. So as I do this, I'm taking my hands beside the feet and I'm going to lift my heels. So it's a bit of a balance here, and my ribs are wide, my armpits are wide and engaged through the domes of my armpits, but my arms themselves are a little bit loose. And then push the weight down through the hands, take the feet back, and then just pause in your raised plank. And as we're in raised plank, we think the pubic bone a little bit forward and up. We think down with the hands, wide across the back, the upper back, middle back, and lower back. Take the knees down. Slowly, thinking of yourself moving evenly left and right, take yourself back into just that kind of cave of connections. So you're on the top of the feet and widen through the side ribs, open the armpit domes. The arms are relaxed, but you have an engagement around the pubic bone and the perineum. Inhale, start to come up, and as you shift your weight into the hands, they engage and push down, and you just forward. Feel a little bit relaxed through the glutes or through that sort of whole, buttocks region, a little bit relaxed, but just whatever muscles engage, let them engage as a natural reaction to being in this position. Breathe. I have ants crawling on me. It's one of the side effects of being outside, and I can let them, but I don't want to smush them. All right, lift the ribs as you push down more through the hands. And then as you're on the tops of your feet, lean down through the tops of the feet to come up with the knees. Pause in your upward facing dog. Knees come down. Let yourself prepare for downward facing dog. And so everything is a preparation where we find the exact right alignment that's just naturally occurring when we find the domes of the armpits. Okay, so the domes of the armpits are opening, the elbows are relaxed, the ants are crawling, the toes are tucked under. Engage in the pubic bone and feel a sense like the muscles around the pubic bone are sort of scrunching into the body. Inhale. Feel both hands and feet simultaneously. Exhale. Take the hips to the sky. Pause in your downward dog. Maintaining the open quality through the armpits and that gathered quality at the pubic bone. Breathe. Just notice where the breath goes. And some parts of the structure can relax, but you really feel how you have erected a tent. And we have the hands and we have the feet evenly down and pulling the mat apart. And thinking of a geodesic dome or a tensegrity structure. If any weight or pressure is applied to this structure, it will become stronger rather than weak. Okay, and just look forward by shifting your weight a bit, feeling what that feels like in the hands and the arms and the armpits. Take the hips back and jump forward. Long back. And then just let yourself be in your forward fold. So does that mean that the knees are bent? I like to do that, especially for the first few sun salutations. It's nice to feel the weight of the ribs coming down to the ground, and there's this space that happens through the back right here at the lumbar and at the pelvis. So that just gets widened and lengthened when we can rest on the thighs. Shifting the weight back to the heels, inhale, thinking even left and right, come up, and then hands in towards the heart. Good. Again, inhale. Taking it into a little bit of a back bend. Sometimes I take a little longer to prepare this because so much of our lives are really spent in a forward torque kind of engagement. And so the more we can lift the ribs from here, the sides into the armpits, the more relief we'll get for our upper back down the road. And then an inhale, think evenly. Exhale, come forward. Pause in your forward fold. Your own version of forward fold. Relaxing the shoulders if you can. Relaxing the head. Heavy. It's like a plumb line weight. Feel both feet even in the ground. Taking the hands to either side of the feet again or wherever it works for you. Bending the knees, lifting the heels, opening the armpit domes, relaxing the arms, and then weight shift, jump back or step back, raised plank. Breathe. Go wide through the side ribs, pubic bone a little forward and up to the chest, knees down. Set yourself up for the Sweetness as you come into the cave of connections. Hips are back, but they're not relaxed. Oh, armpits are open and deep. You feel the muscles in front and back and the tops of and the sides of your armpit. The arms and elbows are a bit soft. Inhale, coming forward, and then just breathe into your upward facing dog. So we can stay here with upward facing dog with the knees down, or we can engage to the tops of the feet and lift the knees. So the pubic bone coming forward through and up for containment for the lower back. Knees come down. Downward dog. Place the hands, tuck the toes, hips back, pause. Engage in the areas around the limbs. Relax the arms, rounding the back to the sky slightly. Inhale, exhale, wedge the hands and feet, lift the hips to the sky, and just be in your downward facing dog. Look at the hands, feet to hands, long back and deeper bend. Take the hips back, inhale, come up. Hands to heart. Just breathe and feel yourself around the center line. And let's just go again. Inhale into your version of the standing back bend. And coming up and forward fold. In this forward fold, let's just see about taking the sitting bones as if they're trying to go to the sky. And then kind of a little bit of a clamp down, feeling that the tail is then going to meet them and then take the sitting bones down to the heels, but keep the engagement or that kind of co-muscle activation or joint muscle activation that's happening in the pelvis. And then relax some of that. Prepare for stepping or hopping back. Raise plank. Knees down. Upward facing dog. Knees up or down. Come through and downward facing dog. Look towards the hand, step or hop. Long back and deeper bend. Inhale, come up. Hands to heart. Now with this next sun salutation series, we're going to come into Warrior One. And when we do this, we start the sun salutation coming into Utkatasana. And I want you to look at the inner corners of my feet. It's like right here in this ankle part. They come forward like that, like they come a little bit together, and you feel a kind of sense that the feet are going down and slightly kind of muling out to the sides, but they don't really move. But it's instead of coming like this, where the inner arches are lifted, so it's like this, or you can see that my back can stay straight for quite a while as my knees bend because of my ankles. coming forward and in. So this is a way we're going to come into it, into chair. And then as we just tip our backs, our bums backwards, then we just bring the arms. And then we're in Thunderbolt. It's just a nice, easy, we feel wide through the side ribs, and then we'll come into forward bend from there. So let's do that, and then we'll go through the whole sun salutation. Hands to heart first. Breathe in and out. Inhale. Find your version of back bend if you wish. Inhale. Exhale, hands back to heart. Take one hand to the chest and one to the middle back. Find the alignment with your feet and keep your torso just straight up and down as you just bend at the knees. You can see the knees are bent. My pants are long and wide. Here we go. Okay, so the back is quiet. Now, as you take the seat back, you bring the arms forward, and it's just easy, sweet. The weight's a little bit more distributed through the heels because you can hold this pose longer if we engage that line. Breathe, and then inhale. Exhale, come into forward fold. Find your stepping or hopping back. Raise plank. You can lower your plank. I'm just protecting my right elbow, so I'm not going to bend that one today that way. Come back, prepare yourself for modified up dog, and then decide if you want to come into full up dog with knees lifted. Knees down and downward facing dog. Set yourself up smartly so your alignment will serve you for the rest of our lives. Inhale. Exhale. Now, lift your heels and then take your left leg up to the sky. Have a little bend in the knee. And then that way we know that we're moving the leg. We're holding the leg in position like a bow, which has a bit more buoyancy to it than just a straight ram, which can be too tight for the back of the pelvis. Bring that left leg forward. Lift your back foot and turn it on a 45-degree angle, and we're going to come into warrior one. So as we come up, I take my hands to the back, my back heel's a bit elevated. That back foot's in 90 degrees or it's turned up so that you have your heel back, but it's on an angle, okay? And so you're really on your big toe mound of that back foot. And you can see that that back knee is bent a little bit as well. And then maybe if the hips can be kind of quiet, squared forward, then you can smudge that heel down and maybe the front heel down. Bring the pubic bone forward and up, wide through the side ribs, relax the shoulders and bring the arms. And then just think a little forward with the whole torso. Inhale and exhale. Take the hands on either side of the foot, step back for your raised plank. Maybe lower plank if you're doing that. Come down with the knees and modified up dog. Possibly lifting the knees. Taking the knees down and downward dog. Prepare and breathe. Creating a sustainable practice as you exhale the seat to the sky. Lift both heels, lift the right leg up behind, again creating a little bit of a bow, leaning out to the big toe mound of that right foot. And then bringing it all the way forward. Lift the back foot, turn it on that 45-degree angle, and then square the hips off and come up. So both heels might be slightly elevated. Squaring and quietening through the pelvis, sustainable sweetness of balance. And then maybe both heels come down. Pubic bone a bit forward and up. Widen through the armpits, relax the shoulder heads, bring the arms up. Think a bit forward with the structure. But we're still looking. Hi, Piper. Oh, yes. Piper just turned 10 today, so I decided she could be in the video. So we're looking to see that this knee is just stacking basically right over that ankle. So it's not going farther before. We're just creating some good strength, solid strength around this front knee. All right, inhale, exhale, back down to raised plank. Take the knees down. Up dog. And down dog. Inhale, look to the hands. Exhale, feet come forward. Pause in your forward fold. Take the hands to the backs of the calves and lean the hands to the legs and lean the legs to the hands as you bend the knees. And just come into a position, maybe your torso feels like it's parallel to the ground. Keep that leaning. And then widen through the armpits and just take the arms lightly forward so that you have them on either side of the ears-ish, depending on your flexibility. Breathe here. Come up a little bit. Keep the weight in the heels more. Come up a bit more. And then all the way up. And hands to heart. Okay, I'm going to come down to the ground, but let's just come into one more standing back bend and step back to down dog after our forward fold. Inhale the arms. And breathe as you prepare yourself for your little back bend. And then another inhale and an exhale. Step back to down dog. And then take one elbow down and the other elbow down, and we'll just come into a nice raised plank on our elbows, and then come all the way down. And then just adjust so that your elbows are right below your shoulders, and feel the downness of the pubic bone. So the pubic bone's going down, and then it feels like the muscles around there are suctioning up into the body and coming forward and up to the chest. So we're in Sphinx. The feet can be apart or they can be together. I'm taking mine apart. Feels a bit nice and wide for the pelvis. Breathe into this back bend. And then we're going to turn to the left. So the right shoulder comes over as well, and we turn our head. The left shoulder goes back. Come up and we'll turn to the right. So the right shoulder goes back, the left shoulder goes over, and we turn our face to the right as well. And one more over to the left. One more over to the right. Come back into the center. Using the downness of the elbows to bring the chest a little wider and a little forward and up. Okay, tuck the toes and just kind of walk yourself into a position where you can come into child's pose. Take the feet side by side if that suits. If you can come into a child's pose like this, if it's okay for your knees, do so. Otherwise, go on your back and just snug your legs into the chest where it feels comfortable. So I'm just making a pillow for my head and coming into child's pose for a few breaths. Take the hands apart. We'll go into downward dog. It's a nice counter pose for being in the back bend. Down dog and feeling the concept that the sitting bones at first try to lift to the ceiling and then the tail smushes and pushes them back down. That engagement really connects into the back of the pelvis, plumps up the lumbar spine. And then come down onto one elbow, then the other elbow again into a raised plank on our elbows. And then come down. And we're going to bend the knees and hold on to the leg. And when we hold on to the top of the foot, actually, we're going to try and bring it in the direction of our seat or our sitting bones. But then we're also going to engage the muscles around the leg as if you're going to try and lift the knee to the sky. So let's just see about that. And we'll have a different variation of how we're going to hold it. Maybe you loop a belt around your foot to hold it because that's your flexibility today. Or maybe you just hold the foot as you can, or I'm going to try and rotate it so my fingers face forward. So I'm going to start by just bending this leg, this left one, take the pubic bone down to the ground, shift my weight so I can just bring this arm around easily. And I'm looking in the camera, not where my foot is. And then now take your hand on the inside line of the leg or the foot and then rotate it so that the fingers face forward. So now I'm pushing my pubic bone down and now I'm trying to lift my knee. Doesn't lift very high today, it can, but mostly it's about engaging into the muscles around the knee for protection. So I'm not pushing my heel to my sitting bones only. It's not a passive, like I'm pulling and stretching. In fact, I'm also engaging in the opposite. Okay, let's release that. Pause. And just simply bend the right pubic bone down. Shift your weight to the left and just let this arm be easy as you reach back and take the inner arch of this right foot. And maybe swivel so that the fingers can face forward. This is a bit of a shoulder rotation that happens. Okay, so just pushing down a little bit. You can just hold the calf and the leg. You're trying to, it's a bit tense for me, so you can't really maybe just see all that. So I'm just going to tell you it's a bit tight. And so I feel a bit of sensation through the front of my thighs and through my shoulder to some degree, but nothing is like a wrong pain. And as I try to lift the knee off, things are engaged, keeping things protected. The muscles around the joint of the knee and through the ankle and the toes and the hip. And release. And then just pause. Okay, good. Tuck the toes and just slowly walk your way. We're going to come back into a child's pose in a moment, but I want you to feel just a relaxed kind of quality through the back, like you're dropping the belly to the ground. And as we drop the belly to the ground, we can just lift the head or we can hang the head, whatever feels like right medicine. And then slowly thinking that the tail, the tip of the tail, is moving back and down, and it's starting to round the pelvis a bit in a convex way, and then gradually it's going to get to the lumbar. Just soft because it was a back bend we were in, so just a soft rounding, soft convex. Push down a bit with the hands as you do drop your head. And as you're here, feel a compact quality of the armpits towards the sitting bones, and the sitting bones like they're trying to come forward through the front body. Okay, and then let's just go back into our child's pose like this. Making a pillow if that suits. Pausing in your child's pose. And then inhale, come up, take the hands, and let's come into downward facing dog, tucking the toes wide through the armpits. Exhale, hips to sky. Okay, let's come down again onto our elbows and come into this elbow plank and then down. So we're going to have our hands in different positions, and we're going to have a different action. So I'm just going to move down my mat so I can have my hands more on a sticky part of the mat, mostly. Okay, let's have the feet far apart if that suits. The hands are forward, and you're going to take your head down, take the pubic bone down to the ground, and then push the mat away and come up. So you're pushing the mat away, and you can even point my Piper Louise. Push the mat away, point out with your toes, and then come down. Walk the hands one hand distance closer to yourself so the elbows go a little bit wide to the sides. Still keeping the feet out wide to the side. Pubic bone down. Push the mat away again. Coming up. Feeling the side ribs lift. Feeling the front of the pubic bone kind of gathering and suctioning into the body and up through the front of the body to keep length in the lumbar spine. Come down. Decide to stay down or do this exact same position we've done, or walk the hands one hand distance back towards your face again. Pubic bone down. Inhale, push the mat away. And you can see that there's a rotation that now naturally happens. The elbows are wide, and then you turn them so that the inner elbows might face forward, drawing the shoulder blades a little bit down. Again, pubic bone down, and then forward and up with the muscular distribution to lengthen for the lumbar spine. And come down. We want to feel no pain. We want to feel no sensation that says we can't keep doing that for another 50 years. Okay, go back to the first one or do any version or be done, or walk the hands again one hand distance closer, elbows are out to the side, pubic bone down, and you can feel the jar lid, the sort of screwing the palms into the ground, the inner elbows face forward, and that extra lift. Breathe. Now, sometimes it's nice to get that extra lengthening through the neck, and it looks a little funny, but I'm going to bring my head back so that you get more engagement around the thyroid at the front of the neck or the throat. And then come down. Now just lay here, turn your head to one side, make a pillow with the hands, and just pause. I'm facing the left. Inhale the head up, turn your head the other way. Inhale up, take the hands by the chest and just slowly, easily take yourself to come up. We're going to go into downward facing dog first. So onto all fours, tuck the toes, hips back. Exhale, hips to sky. Just be easy. You can even kind of feel a bit of a hang sensation through the body in this. So you have some form, but you have kind of a natural form based on the fact that we've just done a few pretty intense back bends. And then once you've got that, the body just feels like it trusts the shift of movement, then you can bring the sense of sitting bones to sky and then anchor it down with the tail. So now the sitting bones feel like they're going down to the heels, widening the back through the armpits, feeling more down through the hands and the feet. It's a stronger structure because this will really be a good counter pose for the back bend. All right, walk the feet forward and we're going to come down. So let's come down onto our backs. I'm just going to be shifting my mat so that it is on a different angle for you to see a bit better. Okay. All right, let's just take our hands to the belly so we feel the sweetness in the belly. Allow the back of the pelvis to be kind of plump in its downness to the ground. All right, let's just check the position of the feet. See that they're comfortable. The heels are a comfortable distance away from the sitting bones. Take them farther away if your knees get sore. And they're parallel with each other, the feet are. And then take the fingertips to the sky. Fun to say that when I can actually see the sky. It's gorgeous blue in contrast with the trees above me. Okay, so standing on the feet and feel a slight suction of the heels like they're trying to come together, lengthen the low back, and just lift into a nice easy bridge. Just an easy Setu Bandha. But keeping that suctioning of the heels together will just allow the low back to lift, but to be a bit soft. So it has the alignment, but other parts are doing the work, so we're not building gristle in the back of the pelvis. All right, take the arms overhead if that suits. Maybe the palms face up. Leave the shoulders and arms down, snug the ribs in, lift the heels, and lower down one vertebra at a time. keeping the shoulders down, keeping the ribs in, feeling the sense that the spine is moving like a snake, and then unravel, and then release the hands. Pause. Okay, let's do that again, setting it up with the fingertips to the sky. Feel the heels snug together. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lift. Arms behind, just to where they can go. Lift the heels, snug the belly in, keep the shoulders down, keep the arms back, and see if you can just feel this moving like a zipper, one kind of tying at a time, on both sides of the back, going down evenly, and you're ironing it out from the front body to the back. And then once you're here, you keep the traction, pause. Now, as you're here with this traction and the bellies coming in, lengthen it with the left fingertips and then the right. And so you're gliding the arm, the shoulder blades, keep the elbows straight. As you just length side, and moving the side of the ribs and moving the shoulder blades. All right, I'm finishing on my right arm length, lift, and then relax the belly, and then bring the hands back to the belly and pause. Okay, next we're going to come into a piriformis stretch. So take the left or the right ankle onto the left knee. So some people call it a figure four as well. So that's another way we can do it. Now bring the bundle of the legs in towards the body. And you can either grab around, or some people grab through, or they thread the right arm in between this figure four and bring this structure in towards the chest. And as you're holding the legs in to where they can, see that the back of the pelvis is kind of leaned down. So sometimes it curves up, but just see if it can go down, and the lumbar's down. The whole thing of the pelvis and the back stay where they are, and it's just the legs that are doing the moving. Tuck the chin in slightly and see if you can lengthen the back of the neck and feel it drawing towards the ground. Pause. So you're drawing the legs in, but you're not taking them beyond what they can be in, like, so just a little bit of a hold in, not beyond the ease of this. And then let's release and take the feet back down. Other side. So now we've got the left ankle on the right knee. Bring that bundle up. Find your hold position. So what happens for me is that I really start to feel it in this outside of the left hip. And what that does is it draws this knee in towards the chest. So we're going to do it again. And so we can allow that knee to come in to where it's going to be comfortable and not having a big argument here. So just let that be kind of where it's going to be, smooshing down with the pelvis, bringing the chin in, the back of the neck back and down. You can hold the legs in, like the kind of weight of your arms feels like the weight of a wet draped towel. And then release, take the feet down, pause. And then now let's do this again on the other side. So the right ankle onto the left knee and holding it in. And now this is where we're going to consciously think this right knee moving away from me. So it's not just like this, it's a bit more like this, it's a bit more squared. So let's just feel that kind of squaring. Chin in. A little bit active through the feet, so the whole line of the legs is slightly charged. The legs aren't just passive in this particular one. We could do it in a yin one, but you should have done that at the beginning of the class if we wanted to do a passive figure four. And then release. And then switch sides. So now left ankle on right, bring it in, thinking away with this leg. So some people push that knee away. I would be gentle with that because sometimes it's so tight in here and we've got like emotional holds as well as just like sort of gristle holds that are natural from our movement. And we just need to be a bit kind. So just think this away for now. Engage through the legs, wide through the pelvis, long through the back, down with the neck. Relax the face and breathe. And then release. And now let's just decide if you feel complete enough to go into Shavasana. So just take the legs out. Toes face out to the side. Maybe the palms are facing up, relaxing the mind and the body. Listening to the sounds in the room or the sounds that are here with me, with the water, buzzing of insects. Listening and hearing, and then become absorbed into the sound, and then the sound becomes absorbed into the mind and the body. And then just bring your knees in slowly towards your chest, pausing. Roll over onto a side and just let yourself pause on your side. Inhale, coming up. Sitting quietly for a few breaths, taking in the transition from the yoga practice to Shavasana to sitting, preparing for movement in the day. Yoga Mudra. Namaste.